Today, I'm going to explain a South Korean TV show called DP. Spoilers ahead. The premise of the movie is set in modern-day South Korea. Here, all eligible male citizens are required to join the army as part of a government mandate. Each recruit is made to undergo gruesome training and are left unsupervised by their army captains. The high-status soldiers humiliate and dehumanize their juniors with repeated taunts and beatings. As a result, bullying becomes prevalent. This, coupled with the brutal training, prompts many newbies to desert the army and run away from camp. Due to the growing number of fugitive recruits, the military set up a special investigation unit known as the Deserter Pursuit, aka DP. This group is tasked with tracking down runaway army men and returning them to camp. The DP squad is a coveted position as it affords the officers the luxury of leaving camp as they are sent on missions into the outside world. This makes the unit a valued position as hundreds of officers apply for the job. Sadly, spaces are limited, and only a lucky few are selected. One of the applicants is our protagonist, Jun-ho, an intelligent recruit who had served in the military for a couple of months. Having an abusive dad, Jun-ho had a rough childhood and has struggled all his life to make ends meet. Like his peers, the newbie is constantly picked on and bullied by higher-ranking officials. Despite being a well-trained fighter, the new officer shows restraint and bears his seniors' taunts. During this time, he befriends Sukbong, a kind and soft recruit who told him that every lesson comes with a bit of pain and that humans can't gain anything without sacrifice. After patiently enduring these inhumane conditions, Jun-ho applies to join the DP squad, hoping it'd be an avenue to leave camp and avoid his bullies. Weeks later, an interview is organized by Sergeant Park, the head of the Special Investigation Unit, for a vacant spot in the DP squad. Jun-ho joins a long queue of hopeful applicants, and after several hours of waiting, he gets his shot with Mr. Park. Just a few minutes into his interview, the sergeant had to cut their meeting short and left his office hastily. While Jun-ho waits for Mr. Park, he notices a bunch of documents on his table related to a missing deserter that the DP is struggling to catch. Using the clues before him, the intelligent recruit instantly figures out the deserter's potential hiding spot. When the sergeant arrives, Jun-ho discloses he solved the case and offers a tip to the team lead to aid his search. Sadly, his offered advice didn't get him the reaction he anticipated. Rather than commend him for a job well done, Mr. Park reprimands Jun-ho for going through his private files and angrily dismisses the young soldier. However, despite his reaction, the sergeant is impressed by the rookie's intelligence and decides to check out his lead. Thanks to Jun-ho's tip, the DP locates the missing deserter, automatically earning the recruit a spot on the team. Sergeant Park assigns the newbie to a two-man squad alongside a high-ranking Corporal Sung-woo. Together, the duo is tasked with bringing in the aloof deserter and permitted to leave the camp. Upon reaching the city, Jun-ho suggests they begin their mission immediately. However, a carefree Sung-woo refuses and urges the newbie to attend a party with him instead. After some persuasion, Jun-ho agrees, and the duo heads to a club where they drink and dance all night. In the middle of the party, a drunk Jun-ho heads out to the streets for a smoke. Seconds later, he meets a stranger who politely asks him for a lighter. Having a spare, the army man hands him one as the stranger swiftly leaves the scene. A drunk Jun-ho eventually returns to the party and passes out in the club. The next morning, he's woken by a call from Sergeant Park. Upon answering, Jun-ho discovers that the deserter they were tasked to bring in had committed the unthinkable by burning charcoal in his motel room. Hearing this, the newbie's mind races to last night when he had drunkenly handed the stranger a lighter. Remembering this, he realizes that the stranger was actually the deserter they were meant to arrest. This realization fills Jun-ho with a wave of guilt as he blames himself for the man's death. Later that day, the army man's guilt turns to anger as he blames Sung-woo for convincing him to abandon his duty. This rage intensifies when the corporal shows no remorse for his actions and brushes off the ordeal. Having lost control, Jun-ho punches Sung-woo, which launches the corporal back into a glass door, shattering it. Despite this, the livid newbie doesn't relent and pins his superior to the floor, delivering a series of punches. Sergeant Park, alongside another soldier, soon arrives at the scene and pulls Jun-ho away from the corporal. For attacking his superior, Jun-ho is taken back to camp, where he's kept in solitary confinement. Weeks later, After some deliberation from his superiors, he's ordered to be released and sent on another mission. This time, he's paired with a more focused partner, an army corporal named Han Ho-yeol. With a new mission, the DP soldiers exit the camp and begin their investigations in the city. They question the fugitive's family and friends as they desperately try to find a lead, but sadly, all their efforts prove futile. After several days of chasing all possible leads, they learn from eyewitnesses that the deserter is mainly spotted in the train station at night. Using this info, an intelligent Junho deduces the deserter spends his night sleeping on the train after the subway closes. Knowing this, they easily locate his hiding place and arrest him, thus successfully completing their mission. This quickly becomes the first of many successful missions as Junho and Corporal Han's teamwork makes them a great match. The novice's intelligence, coupled with the corporal's wealth of experience, allows them to locate multiple deserters in record time, much to Sergeant Park's pleasure. After returning from one of their missions, Junho learns that his friend and fellow recruit, Sukbong, has recently deserted the army. Junho is disheartened to hear the news and feels compassionate toward his fugitive friend. Sadly, he has no choice in the matter as he, alongside Corporal Han, is delegated to find and bring him in. Right then, we get a flashback to when Sukbong deserted the army. It turns out the bullying from the seniors had only worsened, with Sukbong bearing the bulk of the bullies' attacks due to his kind and gentle nature. After several weeks of enduring the inhumane conditions, Sukbong loses his cool on a senior and brutally beats him right before escaping from the camp. In the following scene, Junho and Corporal Han begin their search for the newbie. Upon investigating, the duo learns Sukbong is a talented artist and finds some of his drawings to be quite disturbing. In them, they see images of an injured person being tortured and beaten up. Observing the pictures closely, Junho realizes that the tortured person in the drawings is a bully named Jang-soo, who recently finished his service. From this, the duo realizes Sukbong is out to get revenge and hastily tries to find and stop him. With help from their unit's IT guy, they narrow Sukbong's location to a nearby bus station. Junho arrives at the terminal first and employs the help of two other DP soldiers in searching the area. Splitting up to cover more ground, the three men scatter in various directions. After several minutes of searching, Junho finally finds Sukbong in an empty bus. He tries to peacefully appeal to his friend to drop his revenge act and return to camp, but a vengeful Sukbong refuses and attacks Junho. Both men get into a heated squabble, with Sukbong gaining the upper hand as he smashes Junho's head through one of the bus's windows. Luckily, the DP official manages to fight him off with a punch, but Sukbong quickly takes advantage of the situation and escapes through the broken window. However, before the runaway fugitive can leave the scene, he's cornered by one of the two DP soldiers who are also searching for him. In a quest to escape, Sukbong accidentally shoves the soldier into an oncoming bus. The man instantly passes out while the deserter seizes the opportunity to flee the scene. While he makes a run for it, Junho tries to get help for his injured colleague. At that moment, Corporal Han and Sergeant Park arrive at the terminal and chase after Sukbong. Sadly, they can't keep up with him as the deserter sprints off, losing them in a fiery chase. Wasting no time, Junho goes over to Jang-soo's apartment to wait for Sukbong. Fortunately, he doesn't have to wait long as he spots the fugitive racing through the parking lot. Junho instantly tails him and is moments away from catching up when a car emerges from nowhere and hits the duo. Sukbong quickly recovers and gets on his feet first as he sprints into the apartment complex. Junho, on the other hand, takes a second to recover but still follows the fugitive and eventually corners him. The duo once again gets into a fight, but this time, Junho has the upper hand. Realizing he's outmatched, Sukbong stuns the DP soldier with a taser and cuffs him to a nearby railing before heading to Jang-soo's apartment. Luckily, before Sukbong can do any damage, Corporal Han arrives at the scene and catches the fugitive with Junho's help. Sergeant Park picks up the trio with his car and begins their journey back to the army camp. On their way there, a handcuffed Sukbong grabs Park's hands and maneuvers the steering wheel. This causes the car to crash, knocking everyone except Sukbong unconscious. The deserter steals the cuff keys from Junho's pocket and frees himself as he walks away from the crash to continue his mission of vengeance. Sukbong makes his way to Jang-soo's apartment and ambushes him, taking the bully to a hidden location. Hours later, Junho and Sergeant Park wake up in the hospital and learn of Sukbong's escape. thanks to their IT guy. They track Jang-soo's phone and pinpoint his exact location. Meanwhile, due to Sukbong's violent actions, the case has spread to the police and the military higher-ups as multiple officials are sent after the fugitive. The police arrive at the hidden location and discover a hidden tunnel. 2 policemen enter the tunnel but are ambushed and knocked out by Sukbong, who steals their gun. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jang-soo frees himself from his captor and escapes deep into the tunnel. However, before he can get far, Sukbong catches up with the bully and holds him at gunpoint as he begs for his life. Before the deserter can pull the trigger, Corporal Han interferes and tries to talk the ex-soldier out of his decision. Sadly, all his pleas fall on deaf ears, with Sukbong firing a warning shot to get the corporal out of the way. The shot alerts a platoon of armed soldiers waiting outside, prompting them to storm the tunnel. Moments later, Junho finds Sukbong and, unlike Corporal Han, can relate better to his experience of being bullied. Junho begs his colleague to let Jang-soo go, citing that killing him would not end the cycle of bullying. Thanks to his friend's words, Sukbong begins to see reason. However, before he can stand down, the armed soldiers raid the area and surround Sukbong. Remembering Junho's words, Sukbong thinks of a way to end the vicious bullying cycle. After some thought, the deserter decides that the only way to do this is to bring awareness to the issue. Coming to this realization, Sukbong commits the unthinkable by putting the gun to his head and pulling the trigger. Junho rushes to save his friend, but is too late and helplessly wails as the ex-soldier dies on the ground. Weeks later, the DP soldier returns to camp but is still traumatized by his friend's death. Tired of the bullying system, Junho also chooses to desert the army and removes his cap as he races out of camp. And that's a wrap for this movie recap. Watch out for season 2 coming soon.